the optimum class size is 6 students. We coach at the student pace. So today, let's say the student is a very smart student, very clever student. He or she is already at maybe the very advanced level. So we will teach him or her the more difficult subjects, more difficult topics. Now, if this student is very weak, we will teach lay the foundation for him. So we cover all the subjects. Now we prepare for the school test and exam. Now what I meant by preparing for the school test and exam is, you know, school test, right? We have the what, CA1 with the CA2. Examination, we have the SA1 and SA2. Now for the CA1 and CA2 and the SA1, SA2, before they come, we Nanyang have our own CA1 and CA2 and the SA1 and SA2. So what I meant is, let's say for example, CA1 is coming, right? Now this school, maybe they want to have chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3 as the topic for the CA1. Then another school, maybe they want to test on the 5, 6, and 7. So what we do over here is we will create that CA1 for the student before he actually take the test in school. So that is what we do over here. We prepare the student for the real examination and the test. And also for every student, right, we have a report for every student. So this report, right, will actually tells you about the strength of the student, the weakness of the student. So this is for our own reference, for our tutor reference. So between tutors, we will discuss among ourselves and see how we can actually help the student. And also as a feedback to the parents. Sometimes parents, they want to know, like maybe my son or daughter, how is he doing after a few sessions in our center. So we can use this to feedback. Okay. So these are the students that achieve very good results. So we are not like those tuition centers whereby they ask the student to take a diagnostic test. Then after the diagnostic, right, then they choose students. Those have potential, then they keep. No potential one, then they reject. All these students are the average student or the below average student. And when they come to us, right, their grades is maybe a B or a C, or even fail. So from all these grades, we actually are able to pull them to an A1, A2 kind of good results. So for example, like Sarah, she came to us primary 4, and her grades was like just past 50 plus. So last year, she sat for the PSLE and she got A star in maths. So maybe we play this a short video here.
The teacher is very
so this is our student.
Very clear. Yeah, so after that I keep improving and I became A1 and I've been staying in A1 since then.
Okay, Rong Lei came to us in I think end of going to PSLE. So her mom was actually very worried. She came to us during just before PSLE. But for PSLE, right, his score is like a C, so a C grade. Then Sec 1, he started with he continued with us at Sec 1. So his grade was like C also. Then slowly we get a B for him. Then now he is maintaining at A1 in his secondary school for maths. Now he's in Sec 2 already. Sorry, Sec 3. Last year he scored an A1. So now he's in Sec 3. This year he's in Sec 3. The other example. So tomorrow you are taking your PSLE, how do you do now? Ready?
Ready.
Start from the start.
Okay,
Good luck. And play from the start. Okay, very four.
Primary 4, you taught me at failure. SA1, I got around 40
Sarah's case, right? For Sarah's case, what happened was she was our student and she came to us in primary 4. So primary 4, she was getting like 50 plus. Then at the end of primary 4, during the December holiday, right, we actually create a program for her and we cover heuristic maths for her. Now primary 5, she was averaging between an A and an A star, not very strong A star, A star, that kind of grades, not very strong, still not very confirmed A star yet. So what we did for her is we created another program for her. At the start of primary 6, right, we didn't go into heuristic for her anymore. We taught her a little bit of algebra. That means we use simultaneous equation to solve. We teach her how to use simultaneous equation. That is taught in Sec 1. We teach her how to use algebra equation to actually solve problem sum. Now that cannot apply for all students. This is the kind of arrangement that we have, because for Sarah, she can do heuristic. But the thing is about her, right, is she's hovering between an A and an A star. So to ensure the A star for her, we actually cover more. We teach her Sec 1, a little bit of Sec 1 algebra equations. So last year PSLE last year, she got the A star. She got A star last year. Okay. So I think I'll leave it to my next speaker, Mr. Raymond, for the primary school maths. Thank you.
Okay, so very good evening everyone. Okay, my name is Raymond. I'm a full-time tutor in Nanyang. So I'm in charge of the primary school math, which set the foundation for every student that is going to go into secondary school and subsequently JC or poly or even university. As you all know, that math is a very important subject, much like language. So it's going to affect your whole life, because like everything wherever you do, you use math. You go to the supermarket, you go for the Great Singapore Sale, you know about math, right? So a lot of common problems, right, that are faced by students is they are unable to understand the question. Sometimes it's because due to their language proficiency. It's like they don't understand like last sentence, where to find the question. Some students, they do not have the attention span. As you know, that young children, their attention span is rather limited. So, and next thing, they do not know when to apply the methods and the formulas correctly. For example, they may know how to find the area of a triangle, but they do not know where is the base and where is the height. And next thing, the teachers may have taught them heuristics, but they do not know when to use this. They are just like being thrown a lot of papers. So what we do in Nanyang, right, is that we give them a very conducive environment. Okay, and the worksheets, right, we need to go through very thoroughly and how this situation applies to using this method. And next thing, there are some confidence issues. Sometimes it's actually from a very early age, like maybe K1, K2, or even primary 1, they started hating maths. And initially, the parents would think that it's not a big issue, it's just primary 1 and primary 2. Then you just say, oh, mommy, I hate maths. Can you stop throwing all this question at me? Right. So, but as you go on to primary 5 and 6, you realize that the problem sums become more and more of a headache. And what I encountered that most parents are able to go through with their ward or their child, right, for until maybe P4. And when they realize that it's P5 or 6, they are unable to go through the questions set by the school, especially the problem sums or the science open-ended. So because, and especially if the child is like not very self-motivated, you realize that it's very hard for the child itself, right, to excel well. So in Nanyang, we hope to achieve that. So next, these are some of the topics taught in primary school, which all eventually will come out again in secondary school and even JC. And these are the building blocks that's why in primary school, it's very imperative that math, you do it well, and in secondary school, you will not have a tough time. Because in secondary school, you have two kinds of math, in Sec 3 and 4, which is the E-math and the A-math. So these are some several topics here that our center actually break down into parts. Because based on different levels, as you know that even in schools, they have various levels of the same topic. That means to say that maybe in MCQ is easier, in section B is harder, in section, like maybe in paper 2 will be a lot harder, and sometimes it requires application from several topics combined. And that's why some people actually say that primary 6 problem sums are even tougher than secondary 1 questions. You realize that the language manipulation there is a lot more creative than Sec 1. Okay, next. So in Nanyang, we also teach those students heuristics. These are some of the methods that we'll be covering. And as I know, some primary schools, they only the first few classes will be taught heuristics because they actually separate the classes based on their primary 4 results. So the people, right? But however, in the mid-year, on the essay 1, okay, on the essay 2, they'll be tested on the same paper, which is kind of unfair because the school actually, most schools will stereotype students who are weaker or stronger based on just their results, and you will not teach them these heuristics because they think that they are not maybe self-motivated enough or good enough to learn it because they want to add more pressure to them. So in this tuition center, we'll be able to actually coach them with like additional information for all these students. For those that already know heuristics, we can reinforce their knowledge. It's very important that the knowledge is reinforced because you know that in school, the teachers do not have a lot of time. Especially it's like a class typically have 30, 40 students. The teacher is unable to go through each of the questions with all the students. So yeah. So we have some sample problem sums here. For example, 2 years ago, Sally's father was 24 years older than Sally. How old will Sally's father be when, when he is 5 times as old as Sally? So this is a normal real life question that can happen. Like for example, that they ask you X, then they want you to give Y. And most students, right, may not know how to do this, but actually it's quite simple. So first of all, we break down the steps. For example, the intuition, right? First of all, the student must be able to think that, to identify that the age difference between them does not change. For example, that your daughter's age or your son's age shouldn't change at all. Okay, this is a common logic, but it's covered in P5 and maybe sometimes in P4. Okay. So next step is to do is